What's up, YouTube? How you guys doing? With the SMITE World Championship done and Season 10 dropping, SMITE tends to get new players, which is good for the player base. I wanted to make a video on my 6 tips to get you into SMITE. So you just downloaded SMITE, you finished the tutorial, and now you're at the home screen. My first tip for you guys is gods. SMITE starts you out with some free gods, and you also have gods in rotation. The gods in rotation change every week. So I recommend just going to the god tab, clicking on it. This is a Steam client. On console, you'll have the tab called free rotation, and you just click on it. So you just look at what you have free, what's available for you. And I recommend choosing about 3 gods to pick that interest you. Maybe it's some that are familiar to you that you heard before. You have them available for you. Maybe it's Poseidon, Zeus, or Hades, some of the more popular known ones. And you just click on those and you play those just to get familiarized with how the game feels and plays and how the god feels and plays. Because we have currently 123 gods in SMITE right now, and each one brings a different type of style, gameplay, and feel. So I'm sure there's gonna be some that'll catch your eye and that'll interest you, and just keep playing those till you get familiarized with the game. So you picked out the 3 gods that interest you. You want to get familiarized with them, but you don't know where to start. And that's my second tip. Is game mode. What game mode should you be going into for you to see if you like those gods that you picked that interest you? At the start, you're not going to have all the game modes available to you because I believe they're level based. But the game mode I recommend for you guys to be playing on, trying out those new gods that are familiarized with you, is gonna be arena. I recommend you guys just slam those arena queues, slam those gods that you got that interest you, and just get familiarized with the game. Like I mentioned earlier, just see how it feels, play it. Arena to me is the best game mode to start out. It's also a good game mode to try new gods. It's a good game mode for new players. It's less intimidating in my opinion. It's light on objective play and gives you more of a team deathmatch feel of the game mode. And it's more welcoming in my opinion as to if you jump right in to SMITE's competitive game mode where the pros play on, which is Conquest. But if that's your thing, if you want to go straight into the action, you learn by experiences, and you just want to go straight into Conquest when it's available to you, I mean, go ahead, do your thing. Everybody has their own path in SMITE, but I recommend for new players is to try Arena, test it out. And arena's a lot of fun. It can be some hectic games, but overall the game mode is generally fun. It's freeing from the structure of the competitive game mode, which is Conquest again. And it's a lot of fun. It's a way to, for me, I like to play arena if I'm mastering gods, or if I just want to chill, if I just want to relax, not go so hard. Just want to have a couple of arena matches with my friends, chill, laugh, have some good moments. It's really fun. It's a fun game mode. And I recommend just new players just play that game mode till you get familiarized, till you feel like you're ready to just move on to another game mode. Or you comfortable with a god and you want to take the next step into just getting into SMITE. There's nothing wrong with just sticking with arena, by the way, though. So we talked a little bit about gods. We mentioned what game mode I think you guys should start out with. And for my next step, I want to talk about items and relics. One of the hardest parts of getting into a Smite or a MOBA in general is not knowing what items or relics you should be buying. It leads to a bit of feeling overwhelmed with so many items Smite has and the relics they have as well. And you might be thinking to yourself, do I even need to buy items? Like, sometimes people just start off and they just play without building any items. And items are key to giving the character that you're playing certain attributes and elevating them, whether it be the damage, whether it be the sustainability, whether it be the survivability, whether it be just not staying stunned or rooted for so long. And with Smite, they have this recommended item and relic system. And I think for me, you guys just starting off the game should use that. Use that to your advantage and go, whether you're on keyboard or mouse or whether you're on controller, go to the item store when you first get into the game and start buying items based off the recommended list. Now, for a relic, you can only get a relic at level 1 and then level 12. So you just have to pick which relic you want at that moment. For items, you need to consume gold and spend it on buying items. Now there's tiers to each item. You want to build, when you start off, you want to build tier 1 and you want to continue to build that item. Sometimes I see when people first start out, they just build a whole bunch of tier 1 items because they don't know really. And the system doesn't necessarily tell you need to buy the whole tree. They just think that when they click on the item, they purchase it completely. But each item is broken down into either 2 tiers or 3 tiers. Mostly 3 tiers. Over the last few years, I believe we have only a few tier 2 items left. But mostly tier 3's items are in the store. And the recommended items do show their completed items as tier 3's, but you have to buy into them. So you're going to accumulate the gold, and then every time you back or you die, you look to see if you could spend the gold on upgrading that item to which item you choose on the recommended list. Now, the system has gotten better over the years. It's a good place to start. Like I said, it lowers that feeling of being overwhelmed by which item you should buy. Is it going to be good for you? Are some people might feel like they don't want to get made fun of or anything, even though you're just starting and you don't really have to worry about none of that. Well, none of the people making fun of you or whatever. You're also playing with other people that start out with you as well. But it'll just give you a little bit more, I guess, less worry and more to the fun part of just playing Smite and getting the hang of the game. The recommended item list does give you a decent build. It's not the most optimized one for your god. Maybe it is, but in most times, building items and relics are situational to each game, in my opinion, and sometimes you might need to tweak it. And that's later on in your Smite career when you get used to playing the game more and building items and understanding what each one does. You're gonna wanna just start off with just that decent build. It'll get you by. The recommended item list will get you by until you get the hang of the game more and you learn more of the ins and outs of building for your character and your god. Well, for your god. And it also depends sometimes on the game mode you're playing. Some game modes give you more gold accumulated each second. Some games give you less, so you have to like balance it out. It's once you get to learn the items and relics, it's fun. It's fun coming up with some janky builds or some build that works for you, and or a fun build where you just go full damage with someone that doesn't really go full damage and you just want to have fun. There's a lot of ways you could go with building once you get familiarized with the item system. And my next tip is to read. It's a simple one, but I believe it's important. Smite is all about knowledge, and to get some of that knowledge, you're gonna have to read. Read your god's passive. Read your god's abilities. See if your abilities for that one god can combo off with each other. See if the other god's abilities you read can combo off with them, so you guys can piggyback off of each other. Or see if you're going up against a god that you've read their abilities before and you understand their kit, and you know what type of ability cycle they want to use on you. It'll give you one leg up against the competition. You want to read the effects of your items. You want to read the stats. You want to read the passives. You want to understand when the passives are proccing, or when you're getting that extra benefit from your item. You also want to look at your health bar. On top of your health bar, there are some debuffs on you. You can't, sadly, you can't check them out, I believe, on console or playing with a controller. But on keyboard or mouse, you can just hover over that icon bar over your health, and you could check out those of debuffs on you. Unfortunately, you can't for console, and I play with controller as well, so I feel your slight pain a little bit. But once you get to playing the game more and more, you start to know what those icons mean and the debuffs. And there's also, don't hesitate to ask people questions if you see that debuff, and someone might have the answer for you. And on keyboard or mouse, you can press the escape key, or on console you could just press the start button, and it'll pop up a guide menu, and you'll just click on guide, and you want to check and click on show help tips. When you do that, when you get in game, it'll also show you and tell you what the buffs do in Smite. You have the purple buff, the green buff in Conquest. The green buff, I believe, is not in no other game mode. You have the blue buff, you have the yellow buff. So when you're going around the game with this tip on, it'll show you what the buffs do. It'll tell you how much, if it's purple, it'll tell you how much attack speed you get in Conquest. It'll show you purple also has a debuff of no, it gives you an increase of penetration. The blue buff gives you mana and cooldown, or just mana. The yellow buff gives you speed. The green buff gives you health in Conquest. And also the red buff gives you power. And each buff, specifically to Conquest, has an upgraded version of them, and they also provide either increased stats or an additional effect to the buff. And with that, with the tip feature on, I believe you can also see that. I'm not too sure, but I believe you can. Let me know in the comment section below if you can or can't. I'm sorry if this was a slight misinformation there. I apologize. But overall, you'll get to know what the buffs do with this tip feature. And when you get familiarized with it, you could just go right back to it in guides and then just unclick it, and then that's it. Like, it won't show up anymore. and you'll have that knowledge to yourself and you can use it. You could also help other people if they ask you, hey, what does this buff do? Or hey, I have this red buff on, should I take it? Is that buff for me? Will my god use this buff well? Or should I get another buff with this god? So like with purple buff, you wanna give it to your hunters or your range characters. With yellow buff, you want to give it to characters with low mobility, preferably assassins, but also gods with low mobilities if you're playing in other game modes, or someone that you just want to be zooming more speed, more fast, more movement speed. For green buffs, you want to give it to a support or a warrior or someone building tanky. For a red buff, you want to give it to a damage dealer. It could also be a range character because they also do damage, but you could also give it to your mage. Your blue buff, you want to give it to someone who's spammy, has a lot of abilities they want to spam because it provides you mana, so you want to give it to maybe your warriors or your mage if it's a mage that spams ability and has a low mana pool. You want to just read everything in Smite, soak up all the knowledge in here, and just use that to become a better Smite player in general. And I hope this was useful. Tip number 5 is about the chat. In Smite, communication is a big deal. It can help you win games. It can help you play smarter against your opposition with good callouts from your teammates. Whether you can see them and someone's coming to you and they just tell you be careful. But sometimes the communication in Smite can be a little annoying. At times even toxic, unfortunately. But as a new player, you may not want to deal with it. It could be a little overwhelming with someone spam pinging you negatively, BMing VGS. For example, you rock cancel that. Or just someone writing in the chat being toxic, maybe a little ragey and mad and upset, and they're saying the wrong things, unfortunately. You have an opportunity to, before you even start in a game, to remove that. You can go to your settings and go to your user interface, and right here where it says mute all players, you can just have it on or off. By default, I believe it's off. And don't get me wrong, the chat feature is very good for Smite. It's good for Smite. The VGS is good, but you know, maybe you just had a bad day and you don't want to deal with nobody and you just want to just hop on Smite and just play some games and just enjoy just your time alone, just playing Smite without worrying about anybody else. You can just start off the game with just having all the players muted. You can also have the opportunity to show VGS for muted players or just fully mute them. Maybe you don't want to hear them typing if you're playing. Well, you could type on both console and PC. Maybe you don't want to hear them typing, but you do want to hear the callouts in VGS. Say if you're playing Conquest and you just want to hear enemies missing or at the fire giant or at gold or be careful. So you could just have show VGS for the muted players. Or you could just have them full muted and you just want to game by yourself, not worry about nothing else. The choice is up to you. I wouldn't say do it right away, because like I did say earlier, the communication in Smite and chat, it is important for the game, and it can help you win a lot of your games by just communicating with your teammates. But you know, sometimes you don't want to deal with the toxicness, and as a new player, you don't want to come into a game and just have someone put you off the game because that one person unfortunately was a bad egg out of the bunch. And majority of the community in Smite is welcoming, they're nice, So you don't really have to worry about that 1% of people being toxic. So you have the option to mute them out of game, and also you have an option to mute them in game. Say you just want to, you got into a game, you have the feature off, everybody could VGS ping, you could hear all of that. But you're starting throughout the game, and then someone becomes toxic, or they rage and they're getting a little angry and they're BMing you. You can just pull up the scoreboard, go to their name, and just either click with keyboard or mouse, or just scroll to them on the controller and just press A, or right click on the mouse and just mute them. You can do this on a person to person basis. You could just do it overall. The choice is yours. And you should be able to learn the game and enjoy the game at your own pace with the chat feature. And this leads me up to my last and final tip of the video. And it's probably the most important tip you can take away from this video. And that's just have fun. Just have fun. Smite can be confusing when you first start out, but it's still a video game. We're still playing a video game. And the most important part of playing a video game is to have fun and enjoy it. It's a great game in my opinion. Smite's a great game in my opinion. I've been playing for 7 years. I've always come back to this game. It's so fun. The updates usually keep the game fresh. Hi-Rez does a good job at this game. And having fun should be just your main objective of playing Smite. Have fun. Don't throw games, but have fun. Have fun. Enjoy Smite. And I hope you enjoy Smite. And I also hope you enjoy this video. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I really do appreciate it. Leave a like on the video if you found any of these tips helpful, so it can reach other players trying to get into Smite. Subscribe if you want to see more videos from me. I really do appreciate it as well if you do choose to subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment down below if you have any other tips for players starting out that I may have not covered or missed, or you have a different opinion or a different tip to go about it. You know, this video is intended to just help people get into Smite that just downloaded it. You know, this is not for the veterans or the people who've been playing for a long time. New players is great for the player base, so I just want them to try to have a smooth transition into the game. I hope you did. If you want to connect with me more, my socials will be in the description below, and I hope to see you guys all in the battleground of the gods. Best wishes to you all, and have a good one. Peace.